Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a journal with me, and the spread I created was inspired by day 11 from the Junk Journal January challenge. The word or prompt was eclectic, and I decided to have my own play with the theme today. I think the Junk Journal January challenge is a great way to get your creativity flowing in the new year. For me personally though, I cannot sit down with my journal daily, so I usually just take the prompts as inspiration, and if one stands out to me, I'll have a go at it. So I'm definitely late on this day 11 challenge, but I still really enjoyed creating the spread. I'd love to know if you all have heard of Junk Journal January. If so, what is your approach to it? Do you try to follow each of the prompts, or do you take a more relaxed approach like I do? So for this spread, I went ahead and picked a page in my journal that I wanted to work on, and then I'm just going to really have fun with this page. I don't have anything specific that I want to journal about. I don't have any specific photos or ephemera that I need to get down. So I'm just starting by taking a piece of this like cream note paper, and I cut it down to size, and then I'm gluing it onto that music paper in my journal, and then I'm going to collage a bunch of assorted pattern scraps around it. I have some vintage wallpaper and then a lot of really pretty pieces of scrapbook paper, but I don't really try to keep it within a specific color scheme or something that like the patterns relate to each other. I just went in my scrap drawer, pulled out a bunch of stuff, and then decided to collage it onto this page. So I'm using double-sided tape, as you can see, to stick these pieces down because they are of either a thick vintage wallpaper or a more heavy cardstock scrapbook paper. So I want to make sure that they're not going to slide around or fall out of my journal, which is why I'm using the double-sided tape. I apologize at any point in this video if you guys can hear the wind. It has been super windy where I live, so hopefully that doesn't come up in the audio, but if you do, I just hope it's not too distracting. And my intent with collaging all of these patterned pieces around this like white background is to almost create a sort of frame around that just blank paper. I'm going to do some journaling on there, and so I kind of wanted to frame it in and add a little bit of detail around it, so that way the written journaling that I'll do in the future kind of pops and feels a little more intentional and pretty. So I changed the angle of my camera, and then I'm going in with one more piece of scrapbook paper on this page, and I'll put that in the top left corner with more double-sided tape. So I decided to take a little bit of this wide washi tape and stick that down in the corner that isn't yet covered with any pattern paper. I just tear off a little piece and then stick that down, just adding more patterns and more decorations to this page to hopefully make it feel more eclectic and kind of more disjointed. And then on top of that, I went ahead and I pulled out a sticker sheet from Peony in June, and I just picked out one of the stickers and stuck it down over that piece of washi tape. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with that short vintage book page that's bound to the journal. I decided to take this other scrap of pattern paper and stick double-sided tape down along 3 of the edges to create a pocket, and then I'll be able to slip something in there later on. I absolutely love this dainty blue pattern paper, and I knew that I wanted to incorporate in this spread, so I just stuck it down, and then I'm going to continue building up this page. So I grabbed out this Tiny Saints tag, and I wanted to put this in my journal in some way, so I thought that it would fit well inside of that pocket. And then next I pulled out another scrap of pattern paper. This is actually from my Marion kit. It's just an offcut that I had from some previous journaling. So I again stick double-sided tape around 3 of the edges and just create a pocket out of that. I try to also add some interaction to this journaling spread. I knew that I wanted different layers to be able to be seen, and pockets are a really nice and easy way to do that. So in putting on the double-sided tape, I accidentally put it at a bit of an angle, so I just had to trim off that part that was going to start going off of the page itself and just restuck it. Now I'm figuring out what I want to put inside of that pocket, so I decided immediately on a piece from this Peony in June notepad, and then I also pulled out an index card to see if I wanted to slip that in as well, and I liked the way that that was looking, but I wasn't decided on it yet. So you'll see I open up another one of my vintage tins and see if there's anything that I'd like to incorporate from there. So actually first I go into this smaller tin that holds a bunch of really small decorative pieces like labels, little tags, and cutoffs and pieces like that. So I go ahead and open up that tin and I just pull out some pieces that I want to start putting on this page. I pulled out this little nameplate piece and I'm going to play around with that, as you'll see later on. And then I pulled out this acetate compass and I'm going to put that onto the page as well. And this is where I go into one of my vintage tins and pull out a doily piece also from my Marion kit that I had left over from some journaling, and I stuck that in the pocket with the piece of note paper. I'm just playing around with more pieces from that tin, seeing if there's anything that I like to incorporate onto this page, and then I go back and pick up those decorative pieces that I pulled out from a different tin and just figure out how to work them onto this page. So I start by just stapling on this acetate piece, kind of like a tab, just over the pocket, and I like the way that that looks. And again, this page is meant to be eclectic. Nothing really goes together. I'm not journaling about traveling or anything that would really do with a compass, so it's just kind of a fun thing to put on the page, and I end up liking the way that that turns out. I'm trying to figure out where I want to put this nameplate. I decided to pull out some little mini brads to attach it onto the page, and I start off with putting it on to this little like half book page, that's bound into my journal, but then I kind of decide against that. I do draw the dots as if I'm going to do it, but then I change my mind and I'll end up covering those dots later on. So I end up wanting to put it on top of this pocket. So I go ahead and redraw the dots, and then that's where I'll punch my holes and thread my brads through to attach this into my journal. So I'm just using my crocodile. I have the large version of the crocodile that can punch through some stronger stuff, so it's a little bit finicky when I'm trying to use it just for like a page in my journal, but it gets the job done. And I just punched out the 2 holes for that nameplate piece. So after I got the brads on, I took this piece of craft paper, it's just a little scrap that I had in one of my tins, and stick that down onto the back side of that vintage book page, and then I will do some journaling on there later on. So I go ahead and slip the papers back into the pocket. For now, I'm trying to figure out which orientation I like best with the sunflowers. So I slip those in. And then I slip the little tiny saints tag back into its pocket. And I have this little sticker from a cutie, so from a clementine, and I thought it was just kind of fun, so I'd go ahead and stick that onto this page. Again, it doesn't really go with anything, but I just thought that it looked sweet and I wanted to keep it in my journal, so I put it onto this spread. And I pull out 2 more decorative pieces from that small vintage tin, and I'm just going to collage these onto that first page, and I'll use the label for just a little title, and then the mushroom I thought was just kind of sweet. Now the last thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add some stickers. So I use some stickers from my Peony and June sticker sheet, just collage those around the page. I think that's all I do. I don't use a lot of stickers. It kind of depends on which spread that I'm doing, on how much decorative items I add, but I thought that this page looked really nice kind of as it is, and I didn't want to interfere too much with that, with adding a lot of stickers and kind of disrupting from the patterns and the different kind of elements that were on this page. So as I said, these pages were meant to feel very eclectic. They didn't have any universal theme that going into them. I didn't have anything specific that I wanted to journal about, any kind of idea that I wanted to broadcast, but I wanted to just read some of the journaling that I did about kind of how they ended up working together anyway. So I said, I love how these random pages with their assortment of patterns, textures, and themes melded together into one big piece. Instead of seeing the discord, when I look at it, my eyes immediately start joining together the colors that match amidst the cacophony, picking out the harmony in the mess. It is fun to make art. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!